In this podcast episode, Shawn Ryan sits down with Mel Chancey, the youngest president in Hells Angels history and a former leader of the Chicago chapter. Mel recounts his complex life journey from a strict Catholic upbringing in the Chicago suburbs to his tumultuous years in the outlaw biker world, serving federal prison time, finding faith, and ultimately becoming an influential born-again Christian. Along the way, Mel shares vivid stories of the violent biker wars, his experiences with the Hells Angels and Outlaws, his involvement in drug and arms dealing, as well as his post-prison transformation involving faith, family, and his current work with Core Medical and a forthcoming biographical movie. Mel grew up in Elsdon, a Chicago suburb, in a close-knit Italian-German-Swedish family with a strong Catholic background. As the only boy and youngest sibling, he was heavily influenced by his devout parents, with his dad working as a warehouse foreman and coach, and his mother active in their church community. His upbringing was strict, characterized by Catholic practices such as serving as an altar boy and attending catechism. At 16, however, Mel was expelled from school after physically confronting the principal and subsequently became a young father, which shifted his life trajectory dramatically. From around age 13 or 14, Mel developed a deep passion for bodybuilding, inspired by figures like He-Man and magazines of the era. He started training with homemade weights and later joined a gritty local gym known as Jay's Body Shop, where he met members of a motorcycle club called the Hells Henchmen. These two men became mentors in both lifting techniques and biker culture, laying the foundation for Mel's eventual entry into the biker world. At age 18, Mel attended parties and meetings with the Hells Henchmen, initially as a hang-around, before progressing to prospect and eventually full membership by age 20. The club operated with a military-style chain of command and strict codes, and Mel quickly earned respect due to his size, strength, and loyalty. The world of the club was alluring because of its fierce brotherhood, camaraderie, and the adrenaline-fueled lifestyle, which prominently featured music, parties, women, and frequent conflicts with rival clubs such as the DC Eagles and the Outlaws. Violence was central and often brutal, though it initially did not escalate to the deadly levels seen later. Mel's story takes a darker turn as the henchmen merged into the Hells Angels in 1994, marking the beginning of a violent territorial war with the Outlaws, who dominated the Midwest. The gangland conflict comprised shootings, bombings, assassinations, and other violent acts. Key moments included the assassination of Henchmen's president Monty Matias and other members, bomb attacks on clubhouses, and an intense tit-for-tat battle for control of Chicago and surrounding areas. Mel advanced to sergeant-at-arms and then president of the Chicago chapter during this turbulent time, overseeing both the defensive and retaliatory operations. During the war, reliability and readiness were essential. Mel describes carrying multiple firearms, ball-peen hammers, knives, and protective gloves, constantly prepared for conflict. He shares details of adrenaline-fueled raids, bar fights, and the daily threat of assassination, including an attempt on his life via a van loaded with automatic weapons. Surveillance, protection details, and constant vigilance defined everyday life as bomb threats and shootings became routine. The chapter was vastly outnumbered, but fought fiercely to establish and hold their position. Mel clarifies that the club treasury was maintained through legitimate means such as membership dues, apparel sales, party donations, and calendars. Although individual members were involved in drug trafficking, arms dealing, and other illegal activities, they kept these profits separate from club finances to protect the organization from legal exposure. Mel personally involved himself in cocaine distribution and weapons acquisition, but did so through external contacts, never commingling proceeds with the club's funds. Mel was arrested and indicted in a lengthy federal RICO case, facing charges related to drug trafficking, violent crimes, and racketeering tied to the Hells Angels activities. He recounts being raided, jailed, and sentenced to nearly 4 years in federal prison. Despite the gravity of the situation, Mel describes his time in incarceration as a moment of relief from the relentless stress of street life. It became a pivotal period for reflection and spiritual awakening. While imprisoned, Mel experienced a profound spiritual transformation. Though raised Catholic, he embraced a born-again Christian faith through deep engagement with the Bible and devotional practices. Mel describes a personal encounter with God, leading to a full surrender of his will and life to the Lord. He began leading prison Bible studies and found ongoing peace despite his circumstances. Upon release, he committed fully to his faith, distancing himself entirely from his old lifestyle, including motorcycles and violence. Reintegration posed significant challenges, especially reconnecting with his daughter, now in her teens. Mel also mended ties with his aging parents and embraced a more settled domestic life. He found steady work managing security for Chicago nightclubs before eventually moving to Florida. He remarried to Melissa, solidifying a family life that contrasted sharply with his previous existence. Mel emphasizes the importance of faith, family, and loyalty in this new chapter. Mel's current enterprise involves Core Medical, a hormone replacement therapy company dedicated to serving men and women, especially military veterans. Recognizing widespread issues like testosterone deficiency and related health struggles among veterans, Mel and his partner Sydney have launched initiatives to expand access to hormone treatments, including negotiating with the VA to provide fully funded care. Their outreach includes scholarships and hardship programs, ensuring veterans can maintain their health and well-being, reducing suicide rates, and improving quality of life. A significant new development in Mel's life is the impending production of a major motion picture about his story. Over the past several years, Hollywood heavyweight Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and actor Jon Bernthal have championed the project, bringing top-tier writers and producers to adapt Mel's life to film. Mel discusses the organic nature of the deal, emphasizing his reliance on prayer and faith in God's timing rather than aggressive self-promotion. Jon Bernthal will portray Mel in the film, and Mel enjoys mentoring Jon on the physicality and mindset required to authentically represent his character. Throughout the episode, Mel highlights the central role of faith in his life's transformation. He explains full surrender to Jesus as entrusting every aspect of life to God's guidance, eschewing control or selfish ambition. He reads daily devotional passages from Sarah Young's Jesus Calling and leads a devotional community online. Mel encourages listeners to seek God first, keep their hearts open to divine direction, and trust in God's provision and timing. He stresses that no one is beyond redemption and that even the hardest hearts can be reached. The episode concludes with Mel leading a heartfelt prayer, expressing gratitude for fellowship, spiritual guidance, and God's protection. He prays that listeners feel the Holy Spirit's presence, understand their value to God, and accept the salvation offered through Jesus Christ. The prayer reaffirms the themes of hope, peace, and surrender that permeate Mel's testimony and life mission. Shawn and Mel reflect on their common journeys as two men who once lived recklessly but have found new purpose and peace through faith. They acknowledge the importance of sharing such stories to inspire transformation and encourage listeners to engage with their content. The dialogue stresses that God's grace can reach anyone, regardless of past mistakes or hardships.